Hey everyone, today let's talk about something that completely changes how we think about stroke recovery. It's all about shifting our focus away from just the arms and legs and looking at a part of the body that, believe it or not, was kind of ignored for decades, the core. So let's start with the big question, right? After a stroke happens, how does the body actually relearn to move? Now, you might think you know the answer, but what seems obvious isn't really the full story. So you see someone with a weak arm or leg, and your first thought is probably, okay, we just need to make those muscles stronger. It makes sense, right? But here's the twist. The problem isn't really the muscle. The real challenge is getting the brain to remember how to control that muscle. The wires got crossed, so to speak, and we have to fix the connection. Okay, so if it's not just about simple weakness, what are we actually dealing with? Well, the answer is a fascinating concept called mass patterns. Okay, get this. Imagine you sit down at a piano and you want to play just one key, a single, clean note. But instead, your hand mashes down and this loud, clunky chord comes out. That's a perfect way to think about these mass patterns or synergies. The brain loses that fine-tuned ability to say, hey, just move the bicep. Instead, it sends out a signal, and this whole group of muscles fires off at once, making the whole limb move in a fixed, blocky way. So what does this actually look like in real life? Well, you might see someone trying really hard to take a step, and as they do, their arm on that same side just pulls up and bends, totally on its own. Or maybe they try to straighten their knee, and the whole leg just shoots out stiff as a board. They can't just move one joint, like the wrist, without the whole arm getting in on the action. It's that loss of isolation that's so frustrating. And all of this leads to a huge, groundbreaking aha moment. A solution that, for decades, was literally hiding in plain sight. We're talking about the body's neglected center.
Yeah, there was this amazing physiotherapist, Patricia Davies, a total pioneer who really changed the game in stroke rehab. And she put it so simply, it's kind of shocking. She said, it is hard to understand why the trunk has been so neglected. The biggest part of the body, the centerpiece, somehow just got ignored. And that one simple observation, well, it changed everything.
That's right. The answer was right there in the middle the whole time. What Davies figured out was, hey, if you want to unlock the arms and legs, you can't start with the arms and legs. You have to start with the foundation. You have to start with the trunk. Think about it like this. Try shooting a cannon from a canoe. It's not going to work, right? The cannon needs a stable base. Well, your muscles are the same way. They need a solid anchor to pull from. Your arm and leg muscles, they're anchored to your trunk. If your trunk is wobbly, those limb muscles have nothing to pull against. The shoulder is basically just floating in this muscular suspension connected to your rib cage. And get this, when you lift one foot to walk, it's your trunk muscles up top that have to hold your pelvis stable. Without that central stability, forget about it. Controlled movement is pretty much impossible. Okay, so we've established the trunk is the key. So the next logical question is, how do you actually rebuild that foundation? Well, this is where it gets really cool. The answer comes down to two simple but absolutely brilliant analogies. To help us wrap our heads around how the trunk muscles are supposed to work, Davies gave us these two fantastic mental pictures, the bridge and the tentacle, and they perfectly show us which muscles need to turn on and when. Okay, first up is the bridge. Picture this. You're lying on your back, knees bent, and you lift your hips up toward the ceiling. Your feet and your shoulders are the two ends of the bridge, and your torso is the arch in the middle. Now to hold that bridge up so it doesn't collapse, which muscles have to fire? That's right, the ones on the underside. Your glutes, your lower back muscles, they're the ones doing the heavy lifting.
All right, analogy number 2 is the tentacle. This time, imagine you're sitting up nice and tall in a chair, and then you start to lean back slowly. Your hips are the fixed base, and your whole torso is like a long tentacle uncurling. To control that movement and stop yourself from just flopping backward, the muscles on the top side of the curve, your abs, have to kick in and do their job.
So once you understand the bridge and the tentacle, you can see the strategy. Therapists can use these ideas to finally unlock the limbs, but they have to start from the center. So here's how it all connects, from the center out. Step 1, you work on stabilizing the trunk. That's our solid anchor, right? Step 2, once the trunk is stable, the pelvis can start to move the way it's supposed to, which is absolutely crucial for shifting your weight. And then step 3, with a stable pelvis, the leg doesn't have to rely on that clumsy all-or-nothing mass pattern anymore. It's finally free to start learning how to move on its own again. And that, right there, is the whole ballgame. This process, this rebuilding from the center out, is what finally breaks the grip of those primitive synergy patterns. It's what allows the arms and legs to start moving independently and freely again. It's a total game changer. What's really incredible is that this whole center-out idea lines up perfectly with the way we now understand recovery happens. It's not just a random process, there's a predictable path. Yeah, this whole journey is actually mapped out in what are called Brunstrom's stages of recovery. It starts at stage 1, where there's unfortunately no movement at all. Then you hit stages 2 and 3, and that's when those big, clumsy synergy patterns show up and really take over. But here's the hopeful part, stage 4. That's the turning point. That's when someone starts to make small movements outside of those patterns. And from there, as you go to 5 and 6, the synergies start to fade, that muscle tightness or spasticity goes away, and coordination starts to look more and more normal. It's literally a roadmap from chaos back to control. So when you look at it this way, it completely reframes the goal of rehab, doesn't it? It's not just about building brute strength. It's about retraining sophisticated, fine-tuned control. It's about reteaching the brain and body how to have a conversation again, a smooth, efficient one. And it all starts right from the center out. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Is recovery really about forcing a weak muscle to work? Or is it something more profound? Is it about gently inviting the brain to remember the beautiful, intricate dance of movement it once knew so well?